Have you filmed any porn?
I feel like you, in a sense, like,
Yo.
Hey, what's going on? So this is OutEast, episode 11. My name is The Real Deal, aka Dill. We got Balenciaga Baby to the right. We got Deadman Burns. And we got Kenny H. To the far right. We in St. Petersburg, right? So how y'all boys doing today? How y'all boys doing?
wait, hold on now. We at SFDS, a beautiful venue here.
We got a lovely classic car right behind me and Balenciaga
The
Baby.
fucking Porsche right here.
We got classics.
That John portion.
We dropping classics, behind classics, or in front of classics.
So before we get started, yeah, we just gave you out an intro, but so yeah, what we got? What's going on, Kenny? How you doing, brother?
Amazing. Life is good. No complaints.
All right. So first things first. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Kenny. I'm from pretty much raised near Tampa, not in Tampa.
The outskirts.
I love it. Definitely the outskirts for sure. I love cars. That's like my main thing. So being here is super dope. Being around
facts.
this type of shit.
Hell yeah.
But I've always been into like clothes, photography, stumbled into videos, and really just like to I don't know, have a good time. I'm not really too over analyzing things all the time. And
Kenny,
that's just me.
I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, bro. Like, I need you to talk your shit. Like, the way I be seeing you on Twitter talking what you talk. So we gonna get right into it. You're gonna be like, I'm Kenny, I do this. Nah, I don't want to hit none of that.
We going chaotic mode.
We're choosing violence. So, Kenny,
Because you said you accidentally fell upon videography, but that's what you do now. So this is in a sense, this is your career right now.
Yeah.
So
The lifestyle.
what's something that grinds your gears on set?
I think something that scuffs my Timbs on set
Facts. Facts.
is probably, I think, an ego is probably the biggest thing because I feel like I've done a lot in the industry. Obviously, artists that I work with, the majority of them, or, most of the people that make sense for me to gain something off of have done something. But somebody who's not just a genuine, you just got to be real. You don't even got to be genuine, but just be have respect for people. And it'd be a lot of motherfuckers that got an ego that's just
So real quick,
way too much.
top rule: you show up to set with Kenny H. Don't have an ego.
Yeah.
Do not.
I mean, you can have an ego, but don't let it drive you to be weird and rude and
Nah, we don't do that.
play your
Sending
card.
out.
I play my card. You got to play your card.
Just play your role and learn it.
Fact though.
But there's a lot of little things that bother me. But
What bothers you? What scuffs your Timbs? Besides the ego.
what's second to that? I have a problem with. I feel like I've grown into a realm of doing a lot of run and gun videos because of a lot of artists don't give they probably work with a lot of cameramen who are not necessarily directors, and a lot of their work is I'm just telling this dude what to do, and that's how it works. And I feel like that kind of annoys me, kind of falling into that run and gun realm of videos just due to the clientele that I work with not taking not only themselves serious enough, but me serious enough.
So a lot of artists be they view you as just a cameraman essentially. But
For sure.
You have the vision when you show up to a video set and what you're trying to accomplish yourself.
Yeah, even if I don't have a treatment or a storyboard or anything, I can visualize shit in my. I have when I was in school and shit, when I would study, it was hard for me to study, but I had a photographic memory or whatever you want to call it, because I could literally see what I'm studying the next day on my test and shit like that. So I feel like that goes straight into the videos where I know what type of equipment I'm using and what angles I got to shoot it in and shit like that. So even if there's no storyboard, I definitely do have a general consensus
An
of
aesthetic,
how it should look. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
And that's important regardless of it doesn't have to be some super, drawn out storyline like a movie story,
for sure.
short film.
I feel like
and
not
it could still
every-
be so visually stimulating.
Yeah, not every music video has to be a whole story and some kind of elaborate.
it could still impact you really strongly.
some
without
hype Williams
that.
shit. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to be like that.
for
So let me
sure.
ask you a question. So I think at this point you've made enough videos. Would you say you have an aesthetic to your videos? And I guess if so, how would you describe them?
I mean, me personally, if I were to reflect on myself, I would probably say I don't have like, maybe I do have an aesthetic, but
I think you have an aesthetic. That's
not
why I was
one that
asking.
I would like stand behind and say like, this is
Okay.
mine. But I think through, the same thing I was just talking about, a lot of artists taking me as like a run and gun director, or not even director, run and gun, just shooter. A lot of my videos have come out to be a byproduct of like where OG was going in the beginning
Okay.
and what came right after that. Because there's a lot of people who.
So like, hold on, let me pause you real quick. So
ahead.
like, if you can, for like the show, is like, break down what OG is, and then also break down like, like where they were going, and then I guess, like what's happening post that.
So OG is, from my knowledge, OG is ASAP Rocky's like creative team.
Okay.
They're way more from being involved with them is way more genuine than from the outside looking in. I always like felt like it was something, but once I got involved in it, it's like y'all was just talking about Buffalo off camera before we started this.
Yeah.
One of the dudes who's like really popular amongst OG is from Buffalo.
Exactly.
Okay.
Don't watch TV. His name's True.
Okay,
Nah,
I
yeah.
came across his word. I'm not familiar.
Super fire painter.
Yeah.
A lot of people in OG are painters, like real New York.
It's like tangible visual
Nah,
type
it's
shit.
like- yeah.
Like not only painters, like graffiti artists, just like unique-minded people. Like
Yeah,
they
how
have
Jimmy,
the way their mind works.
How
is
Jimmy
just,
does all the cutouts and stuff.
Jimmy,
like,
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yo, shout out to Jimmy Regular, man.
for sure.
So like, I don't know if Rocky actually like cultivated this whole team, or if like, I'm saying like maybe.
From what I've
Gallardo
heard through like
what is
knowing
it?
Gallardo and shit, I think that a lot of it was
Rocky.
Gallardo and Haji.
Rocky like coming to a point in his career where he was like where he felt very strongly like this could implement like a lot of good things for him
Okay.
and probably just generally speaking for them as well. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean?
Okay.
So how was it like working with them? Because like I want to talk about OG and I want to talk about Cinematic Music Group. Like,
Okay.
tell me about that.
So I've lived in New York on 3 different occasions, and every single time I went to New York was like a decision I made within a 24-hour time span.
Yeah, nah.
That's very New York-esque.
That's how it is.
You know?
It just, I mean, being in
It's motion.
Valrico's boring as fuck. So it's like there's just like like from the shit that I've experienced in the past. When it hits me, I'm like, nah, I'm tripping. I gotta go right now.
Yeah.
And I'm I think the first time I moved to New York, I had like $400 to my name. Went to New York, bought a pair of Subi bathing suit shorts, and then had nothing. Like within the first 3 days of me moving.
That's not erratic, bro.
But he had to have it. But he got the Subies on.
I mean,
That's how it is, bro. Like,
But-
if I'm gonna get, yeah, like, it's,
every single time was odd. But when the most recent, the time before the most recent time that I moved to New York, I was really just on a limb like every other time. And I shot a video for ASAP Ant and ASAP 12E. And at that exact
shout out
time,
to the game.
I think it was like something in the air. Like I'm a strong believer. Like I'm not really like super religious or anything like that.
Okay.
But I'm a strong believer that like if you start put emotion into things that you want to happen, that
Yeah.
like shit just like
Comes together.
it just happens. I don't know how to explain it. It just happens. And yeah, funny enough, I got hired at Cinematic because a kid I knew through Instagram who I never met in a day in my life, I linked up with him and he was like, I got a meeting tomorrow. You should pull up to the meeting. I pulled up to the meeting. That same day, Johnny, who like founded Cinematic, deleted Cinematic's Instagram. And then I had like 5 Instagrams that I was managing at that time of my own, like a photography page, a design page, personal page. And he was sold immediately.
Word.
At that exact time, so I shot the video with ASAP before I got probably 5 to 7 days before I got hired. And then when I got hired, Gallardo started to hit me up a lot in the
Word.
city. Because he's seen okay, you're doing this, and not even
You
that,
got
but like
motion.
Gallardo's always been
Yeah.
supportive of
I
who
feel
I
like
am. and
Gallardo
shit.
is like so like quiet.
Shout
but like,
out
when he,
to Gallardo,
when he
the great
speaks,
phantom.
people
Definitely.
listen, bro. Like I don't know, something about him, man. He just moves properly.
One thing I want to say about Gallardo, I had a conversation with Gallardo when I first moved to New York when I was 19, living in the Bronx, doing nothing, working at Zoomies. I literally lived there for 6 months, and nothing good happened. I moved back
You went
to
to
Alice.
and the Zoomies in the Bronx?
You was in the Bronx
No, the
with the yellow constructions.
I was living in Gun Hill, but I was
Yo,
going. I
you
was
was in
going
Gun
to
Hill.
34th
Yo, I ain't
to
know
work
this,
at
bro.
Zoomies.
Yo, this is crazy.
Anyways, long story short,
No. Story. So I'm gonna let you
Boy,
cook.
sorry,
I'm
nah,
gonna-
man.
Do you think?
My man's was in Gun Hill.
I was. I mean, that was my bet. That was the best New York experience I could have.
Nah.
First experience in New York because it showed me the ropes. but there I wasn't doing nothing. Like I said, I was there for 6 months, moved back to Florida, felt like I accomplished absolutely nothing. There was a point during that trip where I talked to Gallardo on the phone. I remember the exact door I was standing in front of on the exact block in Manhattan. And we talked for like 30, 40 minutes, and I changed so many things in my life, implemented so many different things like goal-based thinking and shit like that.
Okay.
And then I talked to him a year later when I was interning for him when I moved back to Florida, and I was just bored and shit like that. And I told him, I was like, I'll never forget that conversation that we had. And he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember shit that I told you at all. And I was
That's
like,
kind of
what?
crazy.
I was like,
It
well,
had an impact on you.
whatever you don't remember, like, really did a lot for me. But yeah, Gallardo had a lot of influence with me getting around Og, and I started hanging out with them. Not only Gallardo, but Icy Twat.
Shout outs to fucking Icy Twat
Tell us
City
who Icy
Gang.
Twat is. Who's
Icy
Icy Twat?
Twat is he's from Chicago. He's a super talented producer, artist.
You been going crazy.
We started a group called Cruel Art Media back in the day, and
What year is this?
We needed timestamps. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
Kenny.
2016.
That was around when they were still doing the Divine Council shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like 2016.
So he was still involved with Divine Council, and we started the Cruel Art shit. And the Cruel Art shit was more of like an art collective. But yeah, shout out Icy Twat. He's a super talented dude. I'm glad that he's gotten to the point of like, being. I'm pretty sure he signed with Og as like an Og artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah.
always on stage with Rocky. His music is
Yo,
fucking phenomenal.
bro, his music
and
is
he's a genuine dude. Like out of the people I've worked with in my life,
Yeah.
I respect him for sure.
Word.
But so him and Gallardo invited me a lot to the Og, what they called the headquarters.
Okay.
What is the headquarters like?
The headquarters was a studio space.
In New York?
There's no, in
Harlem.
somewhere in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And it was, a New York studio. There's no bedrooms. There was a bathroom and just a big open space.
Word.
More long than it was wide, typically like New York shit. And then below it was like a garage space with like a basketball hoop, and they would skate in it and do graffiti in it.
Okay.
So 2-story like creative hub.
Yeah.
And it was just, at that point in my life, I was like, everything was just on a limb, just trying to experience new things, trying to make something out of nothing.
Word.
And out of nowhere with cinematic, and I do the video. And mind you, the ASAP video was an accident. I showed, my homeboy called me. He's like, yeah, I'm at this pop up. It was the first last year.
that was
last
the,
year
that,
being broke.
that shit being broke.
Ever.
Yeah,
First
that
one
was
ever.
That was a
That's
flank.
burn shit right there.
Yeah.
Shout outs, gang, bro. You don't understand me.
Nah, trust, I trust you.
Yo, go cook, go
Bro,
cook. Tell us.
Nah, bro, that was like, yeah, bro. That was like, he linked them up. That's when the nigga was eating the chicken in the street. He was like, yeah, I'm eating food. Bro, that whole day was crazy.
What he said, Caribbean Soul.
Caribbean Soul, and like the music video went viral.
What music video was this?
Damn, what song was it?
It was Soul Reaver.
Soul
and
Reaver.
mind you, Ant has his own channel, but for whatever reason, and I'm not sure, the video was posted to Rocky's channel.
Okay.
So the same channel that Peso was dropped on
Wow.
when Rocky blew up
Yeah,
was the
mad
same
traction.
channel that Soul Reaver dropped on. So and that was my
Still there
first.
too.
My first video was with Ted.
Really?
That's my first video ever.
Wow.
Yo, fact. It was
Shout
on the
out
Ace.
Ted.
Shout out
bro.
Ted.
That shit
bro.
crazy.
Everybody make some noise for Ted, man.
It's a small
But that
world
was
for
like,
real.
but the ASAP one was the one that like made everyone be
Yeah.
like, okay, we
Yeah.
understand now. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
Kenny H.
And it was a coincidence because when I showed up, it was a pop-up, and they wanted to shoot a video. And when I showed up, ASAP Ant was like, everyone make a circle around us. And when they did that, everyone made the circle, and for whatever reason, I decided I'm just gonna go in the circle. And I started recording,
Yeah.
and they started rapping to the camera.
Word.
And everything just fell into place. There was a lot of people around the circle with cameras, but they didn't like implement themselves in the way that I did. I seen the dude that was supposed to be shooting, or who I thought, talk to him. He ended up being the actual like guy tasked to shoot the video. And I ended up paying for that music video to get edited, and that's the only reason it was released. So it was a
Word.
very like odd scenario.
So
But,
Kenny, and I hate to interrupt, but I just have to say this. So basically, you told a guy like, yo, I got this. Like, let me just cook real quick. That's basically what happened. You took his
as far as like the shooter,
the
that I
direction.
seen?
You're like, yo,
Yeah,
I got this.
essentially.
Like, you're not even
No,
stepping
no, no.
like.
So I didn't. No. Because I'm blunt and I'm bold, but I'm not disrespectful, and I feel like that would be disrespectful
Okay.
his space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I literally like he had like some fucking 90s VHS camera type shit. So he was like finagling with it,
Very
trying to
odd-like in a
fix
sense?
something or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had my GoPro, so I was like, all right, well, while he's not shooting, boom, I'm going crazy. And as soon as he got his camera figured out and bumped into the circle, I stood back, gave him his space respectfully.
okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? At the end of the day, I told him, I said, I got this footage if you want to use it, whatever. And we exchanged information, and we're super cool to this day. So
I'm gonna let you hit that, but I have a question, like my own personal selfish question. My bad, y'all. So I think it was, I don't know what year it was, but it was like you sitting down in the middle of a driveway and you shooting something to a riffraff. Do you remember that?
I know the story. Okay.
I want to know about that. How was it working with riffraff?
Yo, word.
Chaotic?
I'm curious.
Yo, how is Riff Raff?
it wasn't that chaotic,
Really?
actually.
He's laid back.
So,
right?
like, his,
He's
like-
laid back?
Chameleon lives in Gucci suit.
No, like he's honestly like, you could think like he's doing skits. That's him.
That's him.
That's him. Like when you talk to him, like he is that person.
He's that character.
He's
Literally,
talking-
yeah.
He has his
He's
own
funny.
language.
Like
He has his own language.
he's
That's fucking
If you want
wild.
to call it that, yeah.
What video were you shooting?
Oh.
yep.
Yo.
Hey.
Yo.
Schneider.
Oh.
Good. Y'all.
All right. Oh, shit. All right, man. Bleed.
Damn, how did that even?
Yeah, how did that happen? How did
So,
that-
so like the side of the story that I know is that you
got
were
a
down
selfish
there with
question now.
Eddie.
Yeah.
It
No,
was like
I-
in Miami, down South Florida somewhere.
yeah. I needed a ride, so Eddie and Bands helped me out.
Pan, shout out Pan.
Yeah, shout out Bands for sure. I think it was something on Twitter where I think he did some shit where he was like tweeting I need a shooter or some shit, and he just picked me or something. I don't remember how it happened.
That's
but
one of a couple stories though, if you think
yeah,
about
facts,
it.
yeah. I got.
But yeah, well elaborate
some
on a second.
Irish in me.
Yeah, for real.
But it was cool. We drove down there. The studio that we pulled up to shoot the music video was a 13 bedroom. His house was like, to the camera, was like a hallway. So it was like a big square of hallways, and in the middle was the pool. I've never seen a house like this. It was open in the middle, but it had the whole house
pool in
was
the
just like
middle.
a big hallway around.
shit.
the
Big old
pool.
square with a pool in the middle.
That's
Super,
fire.
yeah, and mad square footage. So like the hallways didn't feel like a hallway. It was like
Fucking
crazy.
like an alleyway type.
Yeah, and this was his studio. He was like, "This is where I just record music." I'm like, "That's fucking."
he got
nuts.
money like that.
Yeah, for sure. And
fire.
he had the Urus in the garage and shit.
Okay.
With his own brake calibers and like
Everything custom.
everything custom.
He's like, Riff Raff, I learned from Riff Raff, he's very into himself, bro. But he
I
loves
can see
himself.
that.
He loves
for
himself.
sure.
That
Yeah,
nigga-
I can see that.
I feel like he's exactly who he needs to be like be the person he is. Like if he were
contribute to
to
the culture.
take things more serious or he plays
He was
his
like, "Yo,
part
stop
perfectly.
playing."
Yeah. But no, it was a cool experience, and obviously to me it was so cool because I'm like, this guy was on G's to Gents. Like I'm shooting a music video with someone that was on G's to Gents. Like that to me
Hold
is
on,
like,
that shit.
He got a whole fucking
My nigga
resume
unlocked
for
the
real, for
memory
real.
just now. Wow, G's to Jen.
that was like what I took
Your
from it. Like
nostalgia link?
I appreciate this most because
Yo.
that is such it's them odd little details that
Yeah.
like wow, how did I fit
That's
into
like-
this existence? Like
Theo Vaughn was like on like fucking what's that one MTV show from back in the day? Like fucking you
Room
know,
Raiders or some shit.
What is it?
Room Raiders or some shit.
He was on something like that back in like 2001, and then like you think of Theo Vaughn now as like Theo
Nah,
Vaughn's
it's-
Theo Vaughn.
Theo
Kenny,
Vaughn.
what was you doing watching a G to Gents though? Did you ever like watch Flavor of Love? Or, like,
I love New York.
Nah.
I thought I was the
What
only
was
one
the
that
shit?
knew about
Was it
Riff Raff.
was it
That's
Shawn
another
Michael?
thing for
Was it
sure.
Shawn Michael that had the Rock of Love or some shit like that?
yeah.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
Bret Michaels. That's who it was.
Yeah,
You know who right now that's from that show, bro? It was yesterday that my boy came up to me. He was like showing me a flick of Britannia. He was like, "Yo, where's Shorty
On that
from?"
shit back in the day.
She was on that show back in the day.
Britannia be pimping these girls out.
She wild.
Can I break into a story time real quick?
What do you think?
So like Britannia, she runs like an OnlyFans agency or like a porn star. I don't
Caked
know.
up regardless in the
caked
sexual
up.
realm.
But long story short, right? I'm not trying to draw too long, but there's a show that I think her name is Kat, right? I think her IG name is Heaven Roku or Heaven Rogue. Anyways,
Memorized, if you ask me.
this is back in like 2017, right? I'm leaving Wynwood. I'm on my little Snapchat. I'm like, I see a little shorty, I see a little DM. I see the story. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna DM her. Boom. She replied back. I forgot what I said, and then I left her on red. She texted me. She's like, "Why'd you leave me on red?" I pulled up to wherever she was at in Brickell. She was back to the crib. I didn't do anything. I fucked. I did not fuck. Excuse me. I just went straight to sleep. That was literally the story. I didn't do anything. I promise. But to tie all back to Britannia. Years later, I see this same girl on Britannia's like Instagram, OnlyFans. So I do my little Googles, my little Reddits. And who do I see sucking dick on camera? Britannia and the girl I scooped from Brickell.
Small world.
Very small world.
That adult industry shit is small world.
Have you filmed any porn?
I feel like you, in a sense, like
I've never filmed other like I've
But
never.
you be chilling with Mac still? I feel like Mac be all up in that shit.
Mac? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mac be yeah. He has an algorithm.
Is that what y'all refer to it as?
Yeah.
He got an algorithm.
Yeah. When it works, it works.
No.
So I got a question, man. What? This is going back to the career. When can you say was like that one moment where you was like, oh shit,
Mama made it?
like, yo, like it hit, like it clicked, like oh shit.
Cinematic for sure. So
Cinematic?
yeah.
Tell us
so,
more about
Break into that.
So, like I said earlier, the dude I knew through Instagram, we followed each other. We followed each other, and we met up. He said he had a meeting the next day. I joined the meeting. Johnny ends up hiring me. Within the first day of me being in the office, I've never experienced something like this. Basically, he was like, "Damn, we need." Like I showed him my shit. He was like, "Damn, we need you." And I'm sitting back, mind you, the night before, the person I was crashing on someone's couch in their bedroom in a basement. And the night before, my homie, he works for Zoomies, he set me up with a Zoomies interview. And the night before, he woke me up at like 4 a.m. and was like, don't fuck this up for me and don't fuck it up for yourself. Like, make this happen. I pushed off the Zoomies interview to go to this bullshit random Instagram meetup. I'm gonna go to his meeting, whatever. And he likes it. He sold on it. And he's like, we need you. And then, mind you, we're smoking this shit. So this is the weirdest interview I've ever had in my life because I'm like, hi, I've never met this guy before. Even the dude that I know, I barely even know. And he basically is like, yeah, if you want to go to that interview, you can go. But if not, we'll pay you like what they're offering to pay you. And I was like, okay. In my head, I have no idea what they want to pay me, but I think it's something that sounds reasonable in my head. And he's like, all right, bet. And then I'm chilling for like 5 minutes, and he's like, so are you going to that interview? And I'm like, hell no. Because I'm just smacked. I'm like, I don't know. This is confusing. I don't know what's happening. And yeah, he walked me upstairs and talked to the CFO, and we did like paperwork and shit. And I chilled in the office that day until I saw everyone leave, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's my time to leave since everyone else is leaving. Yeah. The next day I showed up early, did the same thing, and then at one point I text him. I text Johnny, who's started the shit and hired me, and I'm like, when should I? What's my schedule? I don't have any.
Like, what
I don't know what the fuck
like,
I'm supposed to do right now. And he told me I feel like this is what you said. This is the moment where I realized like, holy shit. Because he texted me, he was like, you're doing great right now. Honestly, just go live your life. And if I need you in the office, I'll let you know when. But other than that, just keep doing what you're doing. So I'm like, okay, this guy I went from like, mind you, but right before that interview, I was wearing the same Superfly outfits, like nice $500 Supreme jacket, nice pants from Paris and shit. Wore the same outfit for like 3 days. So I'm feeling like a bum. No one else would notice because it's so fly, but it was a moment where I needed something to happen. And then out of nowhere, I'm just getting like way larger checks than I would ever expect coming immediately. And he's like, basically, you have no work schedule. So basically, I just keep living the same fucking life I've been living, going to shows, literally anything I want.
Nothing changed, except for just sign the paper.
Yeah, and then now I got money.
Yeah, you just
I could come here anytime I want.
For sure.
And through being there, I met like Busta Rhymes walked in one day, Cameron walked in one day. Like it's a place where if you just stick around, there's doors opening left and right next to you.
It's kind of like I guess like if you're in the same room as them, it's like kind of like who you meet and who you connect with. And
Yeah.
And they know where the big artists that are coming, they know where they're at, so they're gonna take everyone
Seriously.
semi-seriously. Yeah,
On cue, guys.
Kenny, I don't mean to cut you off. So like after like you realize like, damn, this is my moment. Like I'm here. Like, what were the next steps? Like, what was the next steps that you do? Or like, what was the next project? Or what happened afterwards when everything just kind of hit you?
So I
I'm still waiting for them right now.
I didn't really know what I was. I didn't have like a picture of like what I was supposed to do. Really, I always thought that photography would be my thing. I got hired for being the head creative of digital.
Okay.
So I basically like oversaw a lot of album cover decisions. My main task was to design, upload, and manage every post that Cinematic Music Group's label page on Instagram puts out. Within the first like week and a half, Johnny hit me up and offered me a raise to run.
Shout out
He
to
was
Johnny.
like, "You're doing good. We got these artists. I want you to run the artist page too."
But sir, I haven't done anything.
Shout out my
Dude,
nigga
but I'm
Johnny.
like, in my head, I'm like, okay, so life is really about timing, leverage, and who you know.
Facts.
Those three
Okay.
things in business. So me knowing this person, finding the timing to meet him on this random day that this opportunity could even be possible, and then, him coincidentally deleting it, just everything just worked perfectly. And
Stimulation shit, bro. For real.
It's the algorithm.
For real.
but I mean, to answer your question, I didn't really know. So I got hired for designing an Instagram, and I was in my opinion, very amateur at that. I felt like a lot of people could outdo my position easily, but it's more like, my timing put me in this position. Now I gotta, even if I don't know how to do something better than the next person, I gotta be innovative and
Just deliver.
Fuck the technique, just be ahead of,
Yeah.
The curve.
you know.
Yeah.
And once Johnny realized that I shot ASAP's video, he was like, "Damn, you should start doing videos for us."
Okay.
So they started, aside from my salary, paying me commission-based to do music videos for artists under the label or artists they wanted to sign.
Oh, that's fire.
And
So what artists did you shoot for?
the biggest one that Johnny wanted to sign, he did this. I don't know if he still does it, but he did this thing where like if you wanted to sign an artist, he would put up like a micro budget to warm them up. Like, come to Cinematic, we'll treat you right. We'll shoot a video on the house, and trying to like warm up the deal and like
Yeah.
bring them in.
Get 'em right.
Anyone he's interested in. And I think the biggest artist that I shot with through them was OBNJ. I think he's like I don't know where he's from. Maybe, Baton Rouge, I think, some shit like that. But he did a little over 1 million views on the video we did, which was just a low budget like run and gun video. We're shooting in front of graffiti walls. Like, there's no fucking storyline or anything.
It's just him in the fly outfit, just boom, boom, boom.
But
boom.
honestly, anyone I shot with at Cinematic, even like, I felt like every artist, I wouldn't really gauge like how big they are. It's more like, if Johnny's bringing this artist to me, they gotta be something. You know what I mean?
You. It's not just throwing darts on a wall.
Yeah, and certain people, like, I'm a people person, so if I meet you, like, I'll be respectful, courteous, nice. If you give me the same energy, then we can grow, like,
For sure.
Connect a little bit more. And some artists that I met turned out to be, like, super legendary, weird entities that not a lot of people know about. Like, there's this kid, I think the first video I shot for Cinematic was with this kid, Evlo. And he's from Harlem, and he's like just very super tapped in with everything that actually happens in Harlem, not on like an internet basis, but like really happening.
Real life.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool little things.
You got started with Cinematic Music Group, shot the ASAP video.
Yeah. So
I think I seen a viral photo of Ian, Cardi, Rocky at a house. Like, I really don't remember who the picture was, but like, I want to know personally for myself, what was that about?
there. So when I think I was 20 at the time. My homeboy Selly, who makes clothes, he owned a brand called Goth Sport, locally. And he told me like a month before the situation happened, he's like, Cardi's finna come to Tampa, like, just be ready. I'm like, for sure. And this is when Cardi was like just SoundCloud, going crazy on SoundCloud and shit like that. He didn't have no Icy Twat remix and nothing like that at the point. And
He was like Awful Records.
yeah, I didn't know.
Father type
yeah,
shit.
It's
I didn't-
Awful Records, Cardi.
I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, so when the date come, I had my Mazda. I had like a Mazda at the time. Picked Selly up. We went to a little hotel. Linked up with Cardi and Ian Connor, in the parking lot of this little just like little shitty hotel, whatever. That's when I found out that he was like affiliated with Awful because they had 2 hotel rooms. One hotel room was like every member in Awful, and then the other room was Ian and Cardi.
He was a star.
Yeah.
Off rip.
And it seemed, I don't know. I was super young, so not only was everything very new to me and also, I don't know, kind of like scary. Everything was just like a lot. Like I'm kind of like having anxiety naturally as a person.
Intimidating in a sense.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wasn't used to nothing
Privy
at the
to it.
point. It was like a month after I had like the Wiz running, and I just was like a mechanic. I wasn't planning on doing no like cool shit or whatever. But yeah, met them, and that night, because of what I was wearing, I had like a Supreme T-shirt, Eat Shit and Die, like all over print Supreme T-shirt. I had the first North Face Supreme slipper collab, Traction Mule bandana joints, and Ian was like talking about my fit. Cardi seen it. He came over. He's like, "Yo, you got more of this, and that." We ended up going to my house in Valrico.
That's so off the grid.
Yeah, and I when we pulled up to my house, I asked Ian. I was like, "You mind if like I get a picture of y'all real quick?" And so when I parked, Ian was like, Cardi was just trying to walk inside, and Ian was like, "No, let's get the picture for him real quick." And so I had like my iPhone 5S, so just taking some pictures of them in front of the crib, and then Ian, I think it was Ian, had the idea to climb my tree in my front yard. So he like climbed the tree, and then Cardi was trying to climb the tree, but he was like scuffing his Jordan, so he didn't climb it. But I got like just the funniest, most unique pictures of them two in Valrico, and especially like people that I knew in my neighborhood were like, "What the like you dead ass had Cardi like in our neighborhood? Like what the fuck?" But it was weird. He was like. It was cool and weird at the same time. He was like, Ian was in my backyard burning money for no reason.
What?
Like he was just like had like ones and like a lighter and was just burning money, like killing time. Cardi's
shit.
like looking through my closet at different things that he wants and shit. And yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, so I felt like a stylist kind of.
Yeah.
You know, at the time.
Word.
So I want to ask you, right? So like, I know you into photography. I know you into videos, and I know you have an eye for like graphics. Like, what got you into fashion? Like, how did you like have that shit? If that makes sense.
The main reason that I wore anything that would be considered like sought after or like cool at the era that I was wearing it is because of my homeboy Alex, who was super.
Alex Beckford.
Yeah, Alex Beckford.
Shit.
Super into skating. I
Yeah.
always wanted to be good at skating. I just couldn't do it. So I would go everywhere. I would skate everywhere, but I wasn't necessarily the guy like doing the tricks or none of
This is
that
actually
crazy
how I
shit.
met you, is through Alex.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
You know, a lot of good relationships I have is through Alex, and you know, I'm glad that he's doing well still. But yeah, we started a brand together in high school. So he kind of like pushed the clothing thing on me, and he at that time was like, you know, buying Mad Supreme and telling me like this is not necessarily like breaking it down to me like this is it or like I'm ahead of things and you should peep. But he was just like into it and it felt right, and no one else was really onto it.
I think
Besides,
this is
like,
his energy though.
So was that Marco with Rick back in the day? Like
100%.
This is like throwback as fuck. I met Alex in what, 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
And like, bro, he was like heavy in the like Supreme game because he's a real skater.
Little background story. Not only was he raw at skating, but he had a moment where he had a viral video.
Vine or some shit like that,
A
right?
viral video that was on World Star where he pretended to drink bleach.
yo, chill.
And when he drank the bleach, he said "Hail Satan" at the end, and it just went viral.
Yo,
that's him?
Yeah.
Like real like chaotic shit
Yo,
for real. Yeah.
I remember that shit.
We would be skating
bro.
around like Brandon
That's
and shit.
crazy.
Like we'd be outside of Walmart just like skating or riding fixed gear bikes or whatever the fuck. And people would drive by like bleach boy. Crazy shit. But he was, he's the only reason I got
Florida
into
is
that.
viral. At the end of the day,
100%.
everything
Florida man,
viral
for real.
happens
So
in
Alex
Florida.
is a Florida man.
And
Yeah,
then, like, it's
yeah,
crazy.
for sure. He in New York
'Cause I
now,
just
but
thought,
yeah,
I
yeah.
literally thought that kid was from somewhere. I thought dude was from
No, yeah,
and now I'm like,
Brandon
We
bro,
were raised in the same neighborhood. Like,
that's fucking crazy.
I used to knock on his door, wake him up to like get on the bus because he'd be sleeping in and shit. Like, yeah.
Did you ever mess with SBs?
No, I never had a pair of SBs in my life. I fuck with SBs. Though.
What?
I fuck with SBs. I just when I was skating, it was like honestly when I was skating, it was like the skate highs. This is the man skate
Yeah, I
highs.
feel like Alex is very like
Half
anti-hype though in a
calves.
sense.
Yeah, and I'd get like a Supreme like collab, like a one of the skate highs that I had said like fuck 'em, like just all over print, all just little shit like that. Like it felt good to know I had something that like I felt like no one else was onto at
Yeah.
the time, and that led to like meeting Wiz, meeting Cardi, and those things kind of fell into doing
Okay.
it was just like a chain reaction.
So then like elaborate on the Wiz thing though, because you haven't touched on it yet.
Wiz was
I think Ian was styling Wiz at the time.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is like 2014.
Yeah,
2014.
he was. So Wiz had purple hair at the time, and he was like wearing Subi
definitely
jeans
styling.
and
Definitely
Mad
styling.
Supreme. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there
What
was-
era? 2014, man. I remember this.
there was
I know
that
this.
fucking the start of the dad cap era with the I
Yeah.
think about you sometimes
Yes,
cap
with
or
the-
Oh
whatever.
my God.
Like Gianna
Whatever it
Cortez,
said,
like
yeah,
that.
whoever
Yes.
it was, yeah. And
Bianca Shadon, remember that shit?
Yes, bro.
yeah, it was just an odd
Whole
era.
era, man.
I did not
I-
like the dad caps at all.
You got hair, bro.
That's
He wasn't even
when
wearing hats.
I feel like if the dad caps weren't even in style, me just being who I am and being super white, and my dad being like just super white is like my whole family's just Caucasian as hell. So I feel like the dad caps would have just been a thing regardless. Honestly.
yeah.
You just thrive
Bro,
off
look,
the
but
It
dad.
didn't even
was-
need to happen. I had like Bass Pro Shops, fucking truckers and shit in high school.
So let me cook.
Yo.
Bass Pro
Bass
Shop
Pro-
truckers was a wave. I was wearing those in
You
2011,
still are kind of in
2012.
a sense. Right
Nah, but the
now.
thing is, but
the
look,
vintage ones,
look.
The
Like,
ones that
so
were
you-
knitted and
Facts.
sticks, those are the hard
Facts.
ones.
So let me-
Not
let
that
me-
little screen print shit they do now. That's just piss poor.
Burns, you be
TikTok.
knowing, like so like when I came down from New York and I like I moved near Buffalo, like I got into mudding. I was never really a big fisher, but like I did go fishing from
You
time
was
to time.
hunting?
I did not go hunt. I did not do cracker Christmas. I didn't do any of that. So when Kenny was talking about my family's white as hell, I get what he's talking about.
My Haitian family, white as hell.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, never mind. I retract.
But Kenny, for any how do I say this, bro? For I guess any videographers, because I see your work. You have good work. You have a good what would be a word of advice you would say for up and coming videographers or directors?
I would say if you're going to take the same route as me and try and either hold the camera or tell people with the camera what to do, is to really take time, think about not only the camera movements, the substance that you're seeing through the lens, take all those things into consideration and make something that you feel like you haven't seen before. Not to be cliche or just be different, but realistically to just just do something more than just shoot it. I've done enough where I've gotten to that point in my career where I feel like if I could hit a rewind switch and go back and strictly do that, I feel like my price point and my value would be higher versus just doing shit for the monetary value, doing it quick, knocking out a couple of videos, whatever. I feel like if you're coming into the game, if you set yourself apart and do something unique, it doesn't have to be the first time something's been done, but just do it tastefully and in your own way. I feel like that can separate yourself from, nowadays there's a fucking million people who just holding DSLR and fucking trying to do photo, people saying, I wouldn't even call myself a photographer, and I shoot photos all the fucking time. But you could have Bobby from down the block who just got a camera and he does one photo shoot and now
I'm
that's
into
his
photography.
thing. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Just do something unique, I would say.
Bet.
I
So
can appreciate that.
it's another episode of the OutEast podcast. Y'all take care, all right?
You're